What's up, guys? How you all doing? Got a bit of a different one for you today, and basically a young person that I know has kind of inspired me to sort of talk about this in the hope that it might actually be able to help anyone else that kind of suffers from the same kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, condition, mentality, whatever you want to call it, as something that I have over the past sort of 7 or 8 years. And what that is basically is panic attacks. Now, I haven't really had any for probably the last 3 or 4 years now, but probably about 7 or 8 years ago I started having panic attacks, and it was a very, very difficult thing to deal with, and I know that so many people suffer with these things. I felt it kind of only fair really to kind of share my experiences with everyone in the hope that it might just actually help somebody else if they've got the same issue. Now, basically what happened to me was about, I don't know, probably 10 years ago or something like that, maybe even more than that. I had an experience with a certain drug. Now, it's not funny to take drugs, but I guess it's something that all kind of young people at least experiment with. I haven't personally touched any kind of drug for at least 7 or 8 years now, and in fact I don't even drink, as many of you will know. But basically what happened was I took too much of a certain drug. It caused me to have a seizure, and yeah, that was it. I basically kind of lost control of my motor movements and went into what can only be described as a fit. And nothing really happened after that, but as time went on, I began to feel myself feeling the same way that I felt when I had that fit, and it basically made me panic that I was going to have another one. And that happened over and over and over again, to the point where I would literally have to drive to the hospital of an evening and just park outside the hospital because I literally thought I was going to die. I hadn't ever really been scared of anything else in my life before, and for some reason this just absolutely petrified me. Now, if someone else had told me about it beforehand, I would have looked at them and said, "Oh, just man up and stop being a wimp." But when something like this happens to you, it's a very difficult thing to describe, and especially for me, because I'm kind of a man's man, if you like. I don't really sort of talk about pain or illness or anything like that. I kind of avoid the doctor and stuff at all costs, and it was just a very difficult thing to kind of deal with. And recently I've come in contact with someone that I know and care about a lot, and I can clearly see that they're suffering from the same thing. And I mean, let's just talk about some of the kind of things that you can easily tell about this from. Basically what happens is you begin to think about something, and it causes your body to kind of have a bad reaction, and essentially you panic. And what happens is, your heart starts racing, which means you take in more oxygen, which means that you kind of start to sweat a little bit, your hands go clammy, your feet go clammy, and then they go cold. And if you hyperventilate too much, then obviously you're taking too much oxygen, and that makes you feel faint, and just makes you feel even worse, to the point where you can actually kind of black out. Now, I read loads and loads of stuff about this. I went to counselling and all kinds of things to try and kind of resolve the issue, and none of it really helped, to be perfectly honest. The only thing that really kind of helped me was to have some kind of procedure to deal with it. Now, because I had a fit, and that was the kind of root cause of my panic attacks, and there generally is some kind of root cause, I usually went and just sat in my car and put my seatbelt on, because it made me feel like I was strapped in and that I wasn't going to hurt anyone else should I actually fit, even though I knew full well that it was actually down to the drug that I took on that particular occasion and wasn't something that was ever going to happen again. I just couldn't get my brain to kind of prove it to itself, and whenever I started to feel slightly weird, like for example if you went on a fairground ride and got off and you were dizzy, or you had a cigarette and you had head rush, things like that, it would make you feel a certain way that made you think that you were going to get back into that kind of seizure again, if you like, and that caused a panic attack. And like I say, literally to the point where I would drive to a hospital every single night at crazy hours of the morning with my girlfriend and just sit in the car and just in case something happened. And I mean, I'm quite a strong-minded individual, but even though I kept telling myself nothing was going to happen, I just couldn't kind of prove it to myself, and I just constantly worried about it. And it really was a really hard time for me, years and years and years of going through that, until literally I got to the point where I said, look, enough is enough, I'm not having this anymore. I'm just going to sit there and take it and see what happens. And that's the way that I started to deal with it, was just to confront it head on, and just refused to accept the fear, basically. But that sounds like an easy thing to do, but it's actually a very, very difficult thing to do, even for someone like me. And it was actually then that I started getting into my my Muay Thai, which is my main kind of hobby and sport that I do. And it kind of got me through it. The kind of focus, the sort of self-belief, the sort of inner strength sort of stuff comes out when you start doing things like that. Anyway, for those of you that do suffer from this kind of thing and you want to talk about it, you can contact me, obviously, and I'm quite willing to sort of sit down and have a conversation with you about it. There are certain methods that you can go through to help in the early stages, things like stopping yourself from hyperventilating, having sort of considered breathing, making sure you're breathing at a regular pattern to try and control it, even putting a paper bag over your mouth to stop you taking in too much oxygen when it happens can help quite a lot as well, to stop you feeling lightheaded and stuff. But I generally found the best thing to do was literally just to kind of say to yourself, look, I'm not having this crap, this is not going to affect me in any way whatsoever, and just deal with it head on. But that's a very, very difficult thing to do, and baby steps need to be taken in order to kind of get to that stage even. But anyway guys, I kind of wanted to share this with you, and the world really, just in case anyone else is having this, and just so they can see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I did have this for years and years and years, and now, like I say, I really haven't had hardly any in the last 3 to 4 years, and I consider it kind of dealt with really. So there is always light at the end of the tunnel, although it doesn't really feel like that after years and years of having several panic attacks a day, in which each one you feel like you're going to die, literally. Anyway, I hope this was informative. I know it's a bit deep and whatever, and you may think I'm a complete idiot, but if it helps just one person, then that's enough, and that makes it worthwhile me looking like an idiot. Anyway guys, have a good night, I'll catch you soon.